Okay.
Yeah. Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to the WADcast. This is episode number 52 of the Writers, Actors, and Directors podcast. I am Josh, joined as always by my guy that lives in LA. I had nothing tonight. So, Brandon, what's up, man?
Not much, brother. What is up with you? How are you? We always do this whole "how are you" as if we don't talk to each other the entire week or coordinate with each other at all in any kind of professional or personal, way whatsoever.
I haven't heard from you in forever. How is it?
Yeah, like an hour. Oh, man. Not bad. Just living the dream, Living in big old sunny Los Angeles. I love it out here. So
Sure,
affordable. Cheap gas. Anyway. Oh, man. But you know what? My life is nowhere near exciting because I'm not a dad. That's you. You're the daddy.
I am.
You're the one with the kids. I enjoy fatherhood vicariously through you and my other friends that have kids. Meantime, I'm smart enough to, save money. So. Plus, who the hell wants another one of me running around anyway? So, no one. That's who.
Absolutely nobody.
Especially me. Especially me. I do not want another me running around.
Well, I will give you a plan that can rectify that in just a little bit. But first,
snip, snip.
Before we kick... No, something a little more practical and maybe a little more fun.
Oh, okay.
Before we get started...
These are the conversations Josh and I have off the air. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, if you'd let me do the show...
Oh my God.
That would be great. First of all, before we get started, I want everybody out there to send as many thoughts, prayers, or whatever you're into to Amber. You might know Amber from frequenting the show. She's listening now. So talk about a great, great friend and great person. I could use some healing forces because there's been stuff, so if you could keep Amber in your thoughts tonight as she is in the chat, being the best possible person she could be. Love you,
absolutely.
Amber.
Like we joke around on the show quite a bit, but Amber, absolutely, my very best thoughts to you. Whatever you're dealing with, I hope that it is the fastest of recoveries. So. You have my very best thoughts with you. See, I'm not all dick and fart jokes, guys.
Just 90%. Speaking of that, so the plan that you could do is actually...
Anal.
Exactly.
Oh.
You don't want to have kids. There's a certain lifestyle you could lead.
Oh, man, I really hope my mom's listening to this.
I'm just saying.
Why don't I have grandkids? Well, Mom, sometimes it's fun to play in the mud, okay?
And we just got canceled.
Oh, man. I haven't even had a sip of beer yet.
This is all completely sober thoughts?
Dude, my mind goes places, okay? You know me.
Well, you know the topic for tonight, so why don't you fill people in?
Well, that's a hell of a transition. So, on tonight's show, we are... God. You just completely set me up there. You completely set me up for that. Like, I make a joke about backdoor fun. Okay,
No, that's
well,
not the transition. It's about knowing stuff.
yeah. So, all right. Oh, God. Um, oh, so tonight's show we are actually discussing the history of the evolution of characters in TV and film that were like members of the LGBTQ communities. Um, we're going from how they were portrayed as like, and there's a film that I saw the other day that was absolutely disgusting. It's where like I think in the 50s they confused homosexual with pedophile. There's I mean the way that the gay community has been painted for decades is just absolutely reprehensible. It's so bad. And it's thankfully finally come to a point where it went from they were vilified to they were like in person that was a member of that community rather were the butt of numerous jokes. Um, and it slowly came to a point where you started seeing more realistic depictions of these people where they're not all just I don't know like starving for sex. They're actually people with very real problems. I mean, these are human beings. It's just that's not how they were portrayed over the years in film until relatively recently. Um, but it actually goes back much further than I thought it would. There was a movie actually, Josh, and it's a short from 1894 called what do you call it? The Gay Brothers.
Yeah.
It's like a Dickinson experimental sound film. I didn't know that it went that far back. I know that now I
Dixon.
know that movies have been around for you know over like 130 years, but I didn't know that you know these depictions went that far back. I thought it was like maybe like the 30s or something, but like Charlie Chaplin. Well, yeah, 30s got like the 1910s with Charlie Chaplin, but that was about it.
Go on.
Well, dude, if I don't put a cap on my talking, I won't stop.
That's fair. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The Dixon experimental sound film was a very, very early depiction of, um, I guess, what would be considered gay characters. And for a very long time afterwards, when it came to this topic, this type of these type of characters in film and television, well, eventually television, there was a broad stereotype brush used, and I know there are a lot of different groups, especially from different ethnicities, that could relate to Hollywood in particular, depicting their people. It's really interesting. I guess the only way to really say it is to say it. When it comes to the depictions on screen, it seemed to be very much the opposite of what was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because, as we've seen through different documentaries and TV shows about, say, the golden age of film, it was very widely known that these things were happening behind the scenes with different directors, producers, casting couches, and whatnot. But on screen, you had to portray a I guess what you would call more strong traditional masculine role or a more feminine role. You didn't really have the opportunity to be yourself if you were a gay actor. So what would wind up happening is there would be terms like, oh, that big Hollywood star hunk, he's a confirmed bachelor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just became like some of the worst known secrets in Hollywood. But it's amazing to think that this was so accepted by a lot of the people behind the scenes, but only behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Almost, definitely, I would say hypocritical in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah. I mean, and you have like a lot of you have movies that are even based on novels, like the Maltese Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you know, in the novel, the oh God, I forget his name. God, it's been so long since I've read that book. Uh, what is the word? What is his name? Like, oh God, let me look this up real quick. Okay, Joel Cairo, that's his name in the Maltese Falcon. Now in the novel, um, his being a member of that community is very explicitly stated. In the movie, and what I'm reading here is like it's only hinted at, which it was. It was only hinted at because of his behavior. He was very flamboyant, and he had this affection for perfume. But it's like they were afraid to touch upon it. But there are other moments in movies that were considered to be like very taboo. Okay, there's a silent movie from 1927. I remember watching this movie back in film school. It's called Wings. It was the very first Academy. It won the very first Academy Award for Best Picture. Um, and there's a scene where the protagonist kisses his uh, a member of his unit on the lips very tenderly while the guy's dying. To my understanding, that wasn't exactly something that was out of the norm, especially in the trenches of World War One. It's not wasn't a sexual thing, but it was hailed as such when the movie came out. Um, but there's so many situations. Like I'm reading this article, I'm reading like other articles too, and I'm surprised by just everything I've been reading because there are some of these things I didn't even know about. And I may have sucked in high school and middle school and elementary school, but my movie trivia is pretty top notch. But I don't know. So how would you like to start this topic, this conversation about this?
I don't know where you've been, man, but the topic's been going on for a couple minutes now.
No, I know. Like, I mean, like, what would you like to talk about the actual like the characters themselves, or would you like to go on and talk about the actors, or because I mean, there's different ways to approach this. You have the way that Hollywood's portrayed it, which is evolving, and then there's ways that you know, and there's different ways that Hollywood approaches it. I mean, you still have movies that come out in Hollywood where you know the gay characters are all very feminine men or very very butch and very masculine women.
You mean every gay character has to be a hairdresser or an interior designer and has to talk with a lisp?
Yeah, yeah. I'm super. Thanks for asking. You know,
What was it Homer
for
Simpson
those of you
said?
that did not get to, I'm
Um,
not gay, but I'll learn.
no, he says because there was an episode
I
in
think
The Simpsons, because of course The Simpsons have covered absolutely everything at this point, and we all know Waylon Smithers' background.
oh yeah,
But
oh yeah.
there was an episode where Homer accidentally befriends a gay man who
Yeah,
was
that's the episode I was talking about.
running kind of a kitsch shop, for, kitsch. It's a catch-all phrase. And he had no idea that, the guy was gay, even though everyone else was like, yeah, he is super gay. And they teased at a bit of a history with Smithers. But when asked, Homer was like, I like my beer cold and my gays flaming. Now, mind you, this was considered, I think, hilarious at the time. Now, maybe not so much, but it doesn't. I'm not even sure what it doesn't do, but the fact is that it was kind of a commentary on, at the time, Homer Simpson's generation and how a lot of them felt about seeing gay characters depicted in entertainment. It had to be a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. Like, I mean, and I will say that episode, I actually watched that a few days ago. It just, I'm watching The Simpsons on Disney Plus, and that episode is in there. And I forgot all about the scene where he sits Bart on the median of a highway, staring at a billboard. On one side is a woman in lingerie, and on the other side is a cigarette ad. And he leaves him there for hours to stare at the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he goes to pick him up, because I mean, there's this one scene where he's trying to figure out which kind of snack he wants to get. I forget what the one snack was, but the other snack was like this pink puffy thing. And Homer's like super excited when he reaches for the first snack. Then Bart reaches for the pink one, and Homer's got like this like look of dread. Reaches back for the first one. Homer starts like smiling and nodding. Then Bart grabs the pink one and runs away, and Homer screams and snatches him up and puts him on the highway. But he goes and picks him back up like hours later. And he's like, "Well, boy, how you feeling?" Like, "I feel pretty good, Dad. I just kind of want a cigarette now." "I'll buy you a pack, son." Like, I mean...
Do you remember what the response was to that?
No, I don't.
Okay. He goes, "How do you feel, son?" He's like, "I don't know. I kind of want a cigarette." "Sure, son. I'll buy you a pack. What would you like?" And Bart says, "Anything in a slim."
That's right. Oh God, that's right. But
would you
but
say?
it's like you have these.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna.
Well, I was going to say like
pivot.
Okay. You know what? I'll stop. You go.
All right. Would you say that when it comes to the depiction of homosexual characters in film and television, that the 90s as a decade were a turning point? And if we want to pinpoint something specific, the original Ellen show?
I was actually thinking that. Yep. Because she officially came out to the world on her show.
Yeah.
And
and
that was very controversial.
She lost her job. The show was canceled after that. I know a lot of people would say it's due to tanking ratings, but if we're being honest here, it came under massive scrutiny after she came out and her character came out on the show. And looking back, knowing the things that we know now, it's like, you know what? The signs were there all along. I don't think anybody should have been really shocked.
Yeah.
but that's kind of hindsight, I guess. And the question that kept asking, because I watched Ellen, I thought it was a great show. It was what Jeremy Piven was on that show, right?
I think so. I haven't seen it. I have not seen that show in about like 18 years. But I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure he might have been on that show.
it's a weird era for television, at least that network, because sometimes it's hard to find like Ellen. Can't find the Drew Carey show streaming anywhere, and that sucks. But what was I saying?
You were talking about ratings and everything else, and
Right.
the scrutiny and things of that nature.
Yeah. The show came under a lot of scrutiny for having a gay character and a gay lead. And the question that got asked on all of the, the opinion reports on all of these news stations was, is America ready for, a show about a gay person? And a lot of people said no. That a gay character should not lead a sitcom.
Yeah. Yeah, they were always better as the studios always looked at them as being better in like the sidekick kind of deals, like Will and Grace. Now, granted, Will and the character in the show, yeah, he was gay, but
Mm-hmm.
he was too much of a straight man to be gay. Like he was like, well, let me rephrase it. He was too much. He was a straight man to I forget the other actor's name that was a very flamboyant gay man. God, I forget I can't remember that actor's name. But the actor that played Will, like he was a main character, but he was not he was not like an overly flamboyant character. Yeah, he was feminine to an extent, but he was still, whatever. I guess like he could pass off as a straight man. Um, I guess it was like, oh yeah, you can be gay, but not too gay. You're perfect gay. You're the sidekick. That's pretty much how the show came off to me. Like it's whatever. Like I mean, I couldn't stand Will and Grace as it is. I still cannot stomach that show. Um, I know friends of mine that have tried to get me to watch it for years. I can make it halfway through an episode before I'm just ready to like just blow my brains out. But uh, there's even like what was it? Revenge of the Nerds. Revenge of the Nerds. What was the first one? First movie I ever saw actually where I realized that there was and I was young too when I saw this. It was Chasing Amy. And looking back as, a writer, as someone that's worked on sets, that's directed sets and everything else, looking back at Chasing Amy, like it is a good movie. But the whole idea of like, oh well, she's a lesbian, she just has not had the right guy in her life. Like, come on. I know love is love is love. That's great, but it's like one of those deals where it's a little poorly delivered. But it actually showed me like a different side of things where I realized like, okay, well, there are members of that community that actually are not, all hi, whatever, overly flamboyant. God, that's so damn offensive. Ladies and gentlemen, I told Josh that I would try so hard to control my sense of humor or my delivery of things because I know how I come off. Um, man, I'm not off to a good start, am I, Josh?
No, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. I loved Hooper from Chasing Amy.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. That opening scene, man. One of my favorite scenes of all time. What's a Nubian?
kicks over the podium and starts shooting. That was
Black rage, black rage.
but
Oh
I
God.
think it is a very good portrayal of maybe not necessarily masking, who you are,
Yeah.
but definitely showcasing the fact that people will have public identities to keep their true self secret, if only for the purposes of being able to work.
Yeah. I see. There's a lot of things that are happening like as of late in the film industry, well, the film and television industry. And it gets backlash. It really does get backlash. And you have these people that say, "Oh, well, why do they have to shove their lifestyle in our faces? Like, you can be gay and not like, like tell everyone about it." Like, well, I mean, that's why they're telling everyone about it because of people like you.
That's a really good point about the ones that are saying, why do they have to shove it down our throat? First of all, I've never had anything shoved down my throat, and
Oh, you're just not living your life then. You never went on a hot dog swallowing contest?
no, no, I haven't.
Okay, well, I actually did.
And
I won.
it's not a bad, and in that case, it's not a bad matter of somebody else shoving something down your throat because you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah,
But
metaphorically, shoving things down people's throats.
but the idea that somebody else's life offends you when it really has no effect on you. If you don't like it, you always have the option, right, and dare I say the obligation to change the channel rather than try to make everybody feel the way you feel.
Oh, absolutely.
So, with that being the point, who's really shoving things down whose throat here? By trying to
Yeah.
get characters and things canceled, as the term I believe is used commonly now,
Yes.
rather than changing the channel. If you get enough people that believe the same as you do, and everybody changes the channel, the problem takes care of itself. You don't need to be boisterous about it.
Oh, yeah.
And that goes for everything, no matter what you believe. You have the option to opt out. But
Yeah, it's a double standard. It's really one of those double standards, and these are from the same people who claim that they hate double standards. These very people are creating these double standards. Like, our life is perceived to be normal. It's okay if we post pictures of us and, give interviews about our husbands or wives or whatever, but God forbid a woman gives an interview about her wife or a man gives an interview about his husband or partner, whatever. It's turned into this whole thing. Now, you go back, you can see where the film industry has slowly started, I guess, embracing the LGBT community, LGBTQ community. Pardon me. I'm trying to be as politically, guys. I'm not a politically correct person. You know, bear with me. I am doing my utmost here. No disrespect intended nor implied. Because this is a very serious conversation. This is a very serious subject in the modern world. It's something that still should not even be a conversation. Now, there are things that, of course, I myself do not understand. I want to answer. Like, Josh, you know me. You know
never
how my
met you
mind
before in my
functions.
life.
Like, I need to figure things out. Like, I need to know more if I'm curious about something. I have to know how it works, or at least like get some kind of insight on it for me to understand. And I don't want to say to accept it, because I accept a lot of things whether I like it or not. I mean, it's one of those deals where I really need to. If I'm asking questions, it's because I'm open-minded towards the subject. There are, it has evolved from just like, I guess, common knowledge. It has evolved from men are gay, like women's sexuality had like that has gone back since, it's gone back eons. Women having a very like open sexuality that's been accepted for a long time. Maybe not in film, but in stories and history throughout history, it's been accepted for a very long time. Not so much in America, but worldwide history. It has been much longer than it's been acceptable for like men to have certain feelings for, same sex. But it's gone from just gay, gay, lesbian. It's gone from like, men and women engaged with men and women to, like different variations of that community to now like the non-binary or multiple, I guess, gender identities. There are things that I don't understand, like the gender identities. I don't understand. Now, I don't demean it. I'm very curious about it. But you have people that just outright attack it. Like I have my thoughts towards this, towards the thing, but it's nothing demeaning. It's just one of those like, need more input. Um, but you can see through film, dating all the way back to that first short experimental film that I mentioned from the 1800s, all the way to recent cinema, and to one film that we've actually mentioned on the show a few times, Relish, where in which gender identity is a thing. Um, it is a topic in that movie, and it's slowly making its way into cinema to where, and you get these people that just outright attack it still because it's the newest level of this. I say that with all due respect. It is like the newest facet of this community. So like over the course of this past century, you see so much coming in about this. And I think I saw somebody in not not the movie addiction group that we're in, but another group, one of the film networking or screenwriter networking, I forget which one, where someone mentioned one of their characters being, like just non-binary. They use the pronoun. I forget what the pronouns that they use for this character exactly. So I mean, non-binary is of course a broad term, but this guy just got shredded by a lot of people. Oh God, you're making one of those movies. Like, I'm like, oh, dude, it's a social commentary. Like, I mean, it's like this is something that happens. It's something that needs to be discussed. It doesn't need to be attacked. It needs to be, respected and conversed. And it's, slowly making its rounds that way. But what was it? This one movie I remember that was super controversial that I watched not too long ago. It was actually this movie from the 1960s called Portrait of Jason, I believe. Yeah, Portrait of Jason. And it's about like, 60s era black gay identity. God, that movie just got destroyed for, obviously like race and, sexual affiliation. But and then you have like Pink Flamingos from John Waters. Like, I mean, I honestly think John Waters is like absolute trash, but Pink Flamingos was know, very controversial, and he did it to bring up the camp level to like level 11.
You know, someone once said that the reason why a lot of, let's see, the people involved with the gay movement, and the reason why, like, pride parades are so lavish and flamboyant is so that when the straights see it, they're scared. It's kind of a war paint, war dance kind of deal, and that way they would be more accepting of the casual homosexuality, the quote unquote normal people that happen to be gay. They wanted to make the straights comfortable and give them the idea of, well, at least he's not wearing a rainbow tutu and showing off his nipple piercings, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I can accept that. He's dressed like a normal guy. Well, first of all, of course, they probably are no normal person. And second of all, I don't think there is a second of all. But that kind of thinking made sense to me, but it also irritated me because forever, in this country specifically, there's been an idea that the straight white people had to be placated or satisfied with something for it to be accepted, right? And again, this crosses more than just the LGTBQ lines here. This goes to race as well, and even gender norms, right?
Yeah.
If you weren't accepted by the straight white males, it just wasn't going to fly. That's why there have been characters over the years that had to meet a certain standard of acceptance. Like, you have what? It's whitewashing in a way, but instead of making something white that once wasn't, it was making something white acceptable. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And that's been changing over the last couple decades because people are not now realizing, but now accepting the fact that people of different backgrounds and things not only exist, but they're very prominent in the world. And quite frankly, that scares a lot of we'll just say the traditional audiences.
Yeah.
The traditional targeted demographics.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a movie that came out recently on Netflix. It was a children's movie. And the main protagonist in this movie ended up being a member of the, ended up being a queer character.
The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Yep. And a member of my family said that it was so nice to see like a wholesome and like really comedy family driven movie coming out again.
Such an amazing movie.
And I was like, oh yeah, it was really wholesome. I was like, oh yeah, it was just like really great. Like that's how a family should look and blah blah blah. Like, sorry, I live in LA, so there's always a helicopter going over the house here. But like when I brought up, it's like, okay, well, I believe the character's name was Katie, right? Kate, or something like that.
I don't remember.
The girl with the that was always filming everything.
Yeah,
now,
the main character.
But it sounds like that character is gay, right? No. Well, yeah. Introduced her girlfriend at the end of the movie and everything. So, like, oh well, I'm not watching that movie again. Oh well, I mean that's very open-minded of you.
You already watched it. You said it was great.
Like I thought it was wholesome. Well, it's smut. Like it's not smut.
That's the thing about the people accepting gay characters. It's one, it can't be in the lead, okay, and two, it can't be overt. Because if it's overt, I don't want it.
Yep.
But looking at it from, both of us were writers. Looking at it from a writer's perspective, I know a lot of people say, it doesn't even matter. And as a writer, especially if you're into a certain type of philosophy when it comes to your writing, you have to know your characters. And if you can say, because people ask themselves these questions about their characters all the time, they ask themselves, okay, My character's walking into Starbucks. What are they ordering? And they'll be able to tell you what they're ordering. My character is going to Target. Or are they going to Walmart? Which one is it? And what are they getting? Then they'll be able to tell you what they're getting, because it's all about the background. So when it comes to who does my character want to sleep with? Yes, those are questions that you have to ask when you're a writer. And guess what? Occasionally, the character is not going to be, quote-unquote, falling under normal, I'm using more air quotes here, acceptable relationships. It's
socially acceptable.
There you go. Even though I hate these.
I know you hate it. It's just deemed socially acceptable relationship status quo kind of deal. Like, what's the big thing? It is what it is.
But yeah,
I hate to say it that way, but
characters are gay because people are gay.
Yeah. Art imitates life. Writing is art. It does very much imitate life. You have, for Christ's sake, you have movies that are based off of really tragic situations, including even transsexuals. Boys Don't Cry with Hilary Duff. It's a damn good movie.
Hilary Duff?
But it's tragically based on a very real situation where a transsexual teenager was brutally raped and killed.
And that was Hilary Duff?
No, I'm sorry. No, Hilary Swank. I'm sorry, Hilary Swank.
Hilary Duff is a very different person.
Yeah. You didn't know Boys Don't Cry was a Disney movie?
I kind of want to see that version of it now.
What seems to be the problem here? You're not a boy? Oh man, I'm going to hell. All right, so now that we've made the House of Mouse a little darker, that movie was really messed up. But let's face it, Disney does own Touchstone Pictures as well, so they put out their fair share of rated R movies.
It's true, and at one point they were the label for the Insane Clown Posse.
Yep.
So no, Disney, you don't really have a leg to stand on in any argument. So one of my favorite characters that would wind up on, I'm not sure what letter he represents, to be honest, but one of my favorite characters in TV ever,
Mr. Garrison.
period. No.
Okay, go ahead.
Dean from Community.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say I didn't know what the hell he was.
That's just it. Because I remember when they did the episode where they wanted him to come out and be the gay dean.
Yeah.
The whatever they work for, the city or whatever. And said, we want you to be the gay dean. And it destroyed him inside because he's like, I'm not gay. Favorite line that I quote to this day is, he says, and gay doesn't even begin to describe it. Because his character was so
flamboyant.
I've never seen anything like it.
Flamboyant, eccentric, weird,
but also empowered.
Empowered, yeah. To an extent, he was empowered, but he was also always sucking up to what's his face, Jeff. That's it.
That's the thing, though, where he failed in every other regard. His sexuality is where he was the most strong.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
even if that sexuality was a question mark.
Yeah. And then it goes from, but you have TV shows and movies that paint like these characters as very offensive characters.
Jim Rash, by the way.
Or I'm sorry, not I don't want to just say offensive, but like just like painted them all wrong. But then you had other characters that have I don't want to say did right by that community, but okay, going off of like SNL sketches, okay, it's Pat. You know, it had one of the worst comedy films I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie or not.
I have, yeah.
Is that a banana in your pocket? Are you happy to see me? It's a banana.
It's a banana.
Oh, but it's like what cracks me up is like you go from that, but then you go to the extreme where people are getting offended by things that I myself have a few very good friends of mine and close family members that are a member of that community
Mm-hmm.
that watch these movies and think that they're absolutely hysterical. And I notice that the people that are up in arms about these movies are not even really a member of that community for the most part. Yeah, granted, there are members of the LGBTQ plus community that are offended by these things, and they, claim whatever they claim against these, portrayals. Fair enough. But you have movies that, like, I guess, made a. I don't want to say. I don't think that they were going out of their way to make a mockery of it. It was just a character. Now, you have these characters that are actually done, and decades later, the actors involved have come out to like apologize for their portrayal. I'm like, cool. Now, do you think that they should? Excuse me. Now, do you think that they should apologize for their portrayal of these characters, or do you think it's just like, listen, guys, it happened? Like, if you feel like it was insensitive, sure. Like, well, I didn't mean for it to be insensitive. It was a comedy sketch. Like, I mean, yeah, if it hurt somebody, yeah, I apologize if it hurt someone's feelings, but it happened. No disrespect intended nor implied, but it happened. Now, if you're going out of your way to like play like a member of the community and your only thoughts are, oh well, they're all limp wristed and they all walk in and say hi, yeah, chances are you're like, I think you should be a little self-aware of what you're doing.
I think.
By all means, then like
maybe Hank Azaria from the Birdcage.
I mean, I don't think he overdid it though. I think like have you been to Miami?
No, I haven't been to Miami. Well,
okay.
I've been through Miami.
I have been to Miami numerous times. I've been back in the early 2010s. I've been to Miami a couple times. I've enjoyed the nightlife down there. I've had a great time down there, hanging out with people I didn't know. Like I just drove down there on a whim because I'd never been. So I took the couple-hour trip down to Miami from Jacksonville, and I had a great time.
Couple hours? It's like 6 hours, man.
The Cuban culture down there is very strong. It's very heavy. And I've met a few people that like I just absolutely like started thinking, oh my God, it's Ecuador. It's like I instantly thought that because like how they're coming off. So I don't think that his portrayal was really, if I think it was actually kind of spot on. But then like what I appreciate about the Birdcage though is that Robin Williams. Again, one of my earlier introductions to the community was watching Birdcage. So it's like wasn't my first introduction, but it was my first introduction thinking like, okay, well, what I knew of that community was all wrong. Because I'm looking at them like, just interacting as a couple. I'm like, oh my God, they argue just like real people. It sounds horrible to say that, but I'm like, oh my, I didn't know anything about that community. I know how horrible that sounds, but that was like the thought that was in my mind when I was a kid.
You're terrible.
I'm not saying I'm a good person. But what I'm getting at though is that it actually showed a very realistic depiction of what a gay relationship is between, like, like, of course, Nathan Lane, he did go over the top. I mean, he's nowhere near that flamboyant as he did, playing his character. He went over the top with that, but it's just like, with Hank, Hank Azaria, like, I mean, he is a character actor. He does study he does study things before he acts in them. So I believe that's where he got the, I guess, idea for his character of Aguador. And you know what? I just noticed Amber said, "Be right back, guys," and she has not commented at all since.
It's because you've offended everybody, Brandon.
You know what? It's our show. You have the right, nay, the obligation
To stay tuned,
I'm
no
joking.
matter what.
No, but and like it showed both sides. It showed like the side with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. Then it showed Gene Hackman as being like this very conservative senator caught in this scandal.
The guy that said Bob Dole's too liberal.
Yeah, Bob Dole's too liberal. Oh, this is a beautiful bowl. Oh, what is this pattern here? Oh, but I mean, there's a lot of movies that have actually come out in support of that community. Birdcage was one of them. Albeit, like, believe it or not, a lot of people didn't really. I think Birdcage is honestly ahead of its time
Very much so.
for the story it was telling. Huh?
Very, very much so ahead of its time because it was made during a time when, like we said before, especially with the Simpsons reference, if you were a gay character, you had to be portrayed in a very specific way. There was
Yep.
hardly ever any room for, not negotiation, but room for budging. It definitely couldn't be a fleshed out, three-dimensional character, and it had to fit into one stereotype or another. You're either an effeminate male or a very butchy female. There was no in between,
Exactly.
really. So when the Birdcage
And that's the
came
thing,
out,
like,
and
the Birdcage.
it did that.
Yeah, and the Birdcage, it was ahead of its time for one key, like, the biggest, I guess, comparison I can think of to the Birdcage for it being ahead of its time, although not related in storyline whatsoever, Philadelphia with Tom Hanks and Antonio Banderas. Philadelphia came out in 1993, I believe, 1992 or 1993, one of the two. But it was the very first time the AIDS epidemic was mentioned, and it touched on something that was all too common. Tom Hanks being a lawyer who was diagnosed with AIDS and was fired because he had AIDS. If that movie just started touching on the AIDS epidemic and started talking about the gay community, The Birdcage came out 3 years later. And it didn't just touch on that community, it went full head on into it. It didn't just like, okay, well, these two characters are, gay lovers. They're partners, they're in a relationship. It went everything. And the Birdcage also, they were a very empowered and very, they were very much loved by their community. So it showed that community in a way that at this point was not really heard of. I may be wrong, but I don't think it was really touched on. And then I think shortly before, shortly after the Birdcage was Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything.
Julie Newmar. You got to finish the title, man.
I'm just saying.
And that was also around the time of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing, though. It's like you have these movies that come out, and they touch on things that a lot of movies didn't really touch on. They cover topics in ways that other movies did not yet. I mean, now I'm not going to say like Tu Wong Fu didn't touch on the topics of like I guess like drag queens dressing in drag, all that stuff, men dressed up like women, transsexual stuff like that. You have another movie that wasn't what God Tootsie. Tootsie was a movie that was also controversial. No, it was a comedy, but it was still controversial.
Was it though?
I thought in Tootsie wasn't Dustin Hoffman wasn't his character when he was dressed like a woman, didn't like the other woman start to develop feelings for him while like believing that he was in fact a woman?
Yes.
So,
But
you know,
you got to remember, they're like, oh,
that
but
was
it's
1982.
really a man, so it's okay.
I know, but I'm
That's what
saying
makes
that
it
it was still like
funny.
I know. Yeah, one second. But that's what I'm getting at though. It's like it was treated as a comedy, like for that whole plot point. But it was it's still something that was I don't want to say taboo, but it was a comedy. Like it was a comedy in a decade where comedy was really messed up. We've mentioned it before. Revenge of the Nerds. The lead nerd has sex with his rival's girlfriend, dressed up like his rival. That's rape, man. Like,
Hmm.
we couldn't write stuff like that now. There's no way in hell. But oh yeah, young Jessica Lange was in that movie. That's right. Oh my God, I was truly born in the wrong decade.
But I don't think the, I don't know. I don't know. I thought I had something that I didn't.
Well, let me
That's
ask you this:
Go ahead.
where do you see like the future of the portrayal of the LGBTQ community going in future iterations in both TV and film?
Well, if the current track holds, then it should be, how do I put this? Just a thing, right?
Yeah,
It'll just be another character trait, as in, um, this is the lead character. They floss twice a day. They eat blueberry muffins. Don't care for bran, and their romantic interest will be of the same gender or the
okay,
same sex.
I
Then
like
it's
it.
you know nobody will think twice about it. But if you know certain people that are pushing back against this kind of thing get their way, it could just be gone. Even though it won't just be gone, no matter what. That's the thing about filmmakers and art makers. You can't get rid of them. They will always exist.
Yeah,
And as long as people have a desire to see their society reflected in an artistic way, which, by the way, um, has been going on for millennia. This goes way beyond, just TV and television. We're talking plays and stories and, cave paintings.
yeah,
If it hasn't gone away yet, it's not. The only thing that changes over time is how people react to it. People think being gay is a new thing, that suddenly, because of all of this film and television, people want to be this or want to be that. You know what? Can't lie and say that it's completely untrue, because I'm sure there are people that are, have seen things like that on film and television, or like, yeah, dig it, that's who I am. But if that is the key to self-discovery, then okay, sure. But it's just unlocking. That's what keys do. They unlock something that's already there.
Yeah.
And to say that it's wrong to have this kind of character trait. It's wrong to have this lifestyle depicted on film and television would be, at best, morally blind, and at worst, just morally reprehensible. Our art is definitely supposed to be a reflection of humanity. And whether you want to support that kind of lifestyle, because I know a lot of people use the word believe. I don't believe in that. Well, go to hell, because it exists. It doesn't matter if you believe. It's there. So if you decide to not support it, it will never change the fact that it's there, that it's always been there. Always been there. We're talking pre-history, pre-everything.
Yeah.
Guess what? Gay's always been around. And it will always be around. No matter what kind of genocide you want to commit, it will always be here. Because it's just a part of life. It's just another way people live.
Yep.
And to double down and, quite frankly, maybe beat on a dead horse a little bit, art, film, television, paintings, comic books. Yes, comic books are art. Pro wrestling, art. All of it, art. It's going to reflect who we are as people. And that won't always necessarily reflect who you are as an individual, but as a society it should. And the more people that are represented in our art forms, the more learned we can become as a species.
Absolutely. What else we got?
I thought that was a pretty good mic dropping moment right there.
Yeah, I would say so. See, you're good with words. This pretty much wraps up our damn show.
Coming from a fellow writer, you're good with words.
Listen, I have a magic 8-ball, okay? People honestly think I make up the fact that I use a magic 8-ball to make up all my decisions for writing. I don't. I use my magic 8-ball quite a bit. That is why it's made its way into our current project. So, but anyway, so I say we wrap this up.
All right, what you got, man? For social medias and whatnot.
Instagram, bjacksman82. Boom. Facebook, WADcast. Instagram, the WADcast. Follow us. Like us.
Or hate us. Just make sure you follow us.
And right now, I actually have to say this. For this month, the WADcast. If you want to find us on Facebook, it's facebook.com/the WADcast. You will know our Facebook page by the rainbow-colored banner. Inside that banner is the WADcast. Like us, follow us, because it is Gay Pride Month. And you know what? We are very happy to support Gay Pride Month at the WADcast. We really are. All of you beautiful bastards deserve all the support that you guys can get. If you guys do not have support from your families at home, if they do not accept your lifestyle, guess what? Tune into us. Yes, we are crude. Yes, I am very vulgar. But we are also very accepting people. We got you. We have your back. Okay? No pun intended. But we have you. Um, and so then you can also go over to Instagram and Instagram.com/the WADcast. So, guys, go ahead, come follow us, join us, laugh with us, you know, cry at whatever I say because I know I say some messed up stuff. And well, never meant to
That's
be
true.
offensive, but it just kind of comes out that way. Um, but Josh, what about you?
Well, first of all, I have to say that's a beautiful sentiment from a beautiful man.
No, not really. It's from a massage parlor edits on the LA Weekly. If only Brian were listening tonight, he would catch up on that one.
He would find it hilarious, I hope. Like he said, you can find us on Facebook, the Twitters, WADcast Pod. You can follow me on Twitter at SkidComic, and I wish I was a better, more prolific tweeter, but alas, that is not the case. I mean, I have plenty of time to do it, I just don't. But every once in a while, I will, throw something up on the Facebook page and do my best to entertain myself. No offense, but I like entertaining myself more than anything, because that's just the kind of guy I am. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we need to throw out there for promotion? Oh, you know what? I'm going to piggyback off your announcement over the logo real quick. I know a lot of people, a couple of people have said that, when you change your profile picture to some sort of rainbow symbol to support Pride Month, that it's, I don't know, a sellout move, that you're only doing it for money. It's like, why are you doing this? Because I like money, that kind of thing. And for the most part, big corporations kind of do that. That's a fact. It doesn't mean they don't support, Pride Month. It doesn't mean that they're anti everything the flag stands for. It just means that very specifically they are going to show and recognize that this is a symbol of the people that are, in my opinion, underrepresented in a lot of aspects of life.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's a good thing to show solidarity with a community that, especially historically, has not been treated very well in this country. And I think there's a lot of people, a lot of groups out there that can, again, not only identify but relate with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we here specifically have changed some of the things, with the Facebook page and whatnot to celebrate Pride Month. Because, well, first of all, we're not getting any extra clicks for it. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah. We still have the same 3 followers.
By the way, great seeing all of you here tonight, as always.
You silent stalkers. I'm going to pretend that's what it is. We're being stalked, but they're hiding in the shadows.
You keep blocking our
Because I know we have listeners. I know that we have listeners. They just don't like to say anything. Sneaky.
And that's fine. If you wanna tune in and not say a word, that's cool. Not everybody can be as awesome as Amber, who tuned in from a very precarious place just to make sure that she could listen to the podcast. That we're here every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And but I'm just gonna say the point is, we changed our colors. We changed our picture, not for any kudos or any extra credit, but Brandon and I both have family members and dear friends that are members of the community and are celebrating Pride Month and are doing so out loud.
Yes.
And we stand in solidarity with the people we love.
Absolutely. And the thing is coming away from, as we tend to drift in and out of topics on the show, there are entire families that will outcast a member of their own for being who and what they are and being very honest about who and what they are. And I've said this before. I actually just posted something on Facebook the other day about this. I know how crude I am. I know how abrasive, I know how offensive I can come off, but the down dirty nitty gritty to my outlook on everything is that, you know what? I know that I have like this attitude on the show. I know that I have this, I have a foul mouth. I get that. I know that. I'm told in the real world how intimidating I can be to approach. But here's the thing. You have people in the LGBTQ plus communities that don't have anyone. They have their own community. They have their own families that are, I'm sorry, let me rephrase it, their own adopted families who are equally outcasted by their own blood relatives. I could never imagine having a relative that I would ever outcast for just being who they are. If you are who you are and you are, and you know what? I said this in the post. I'm going to quote it again because it came from the movie Relish. Again, we talk about this movie so damn much. But, my friend and collaborator and co-producer Brian was in this movie. And he had this great line that really stuck with me where he said, "Be who you are with flair and without apology." If you are listening to the show and you are a member of the LGBTQ community, understand that you have our support. Whether or not I have an understanding of certain aspects of that community is completely irrelevant. Even without understanding, I can tell you right now, I will have your back. It takes so much bravery to be honest about who and what you are in light of the people that are just completely condemning it. And if you continue to do that, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of anguish, that which I cannot imagine. But I can tell you right now, the friends of mine and my family members who are part of that community are some of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life. And I've also got family members that are very religious people that don't support that community. And I cannot imagine a single one of those people that I know very personally ever going to hell before some other people that I know as well. You will always absolutely have our support, both mine and Josh's. So yes, we do stand in solidarity with you guys. I joke about Hello Kitty quite a bit. Or do I joke, Josh?
Ironically, not a cat.
Fact of the matter is that this world would be so much better if there was just love. No judgment, no hate. People should not have to fight valiantly to be who and what they are. You should never have to do that. Whether it's because of because of your sexual preferences, your sexual identity, because of your ethnicity, like just anything. You should always be who you are with flair, without apology. Own it. There's nothing more beautiful than a very pure person that's not afraid to be who they are. That is something to be respected, revered, and absolutely, celebrated on every single level. So for those very reasons, Josh and I, absolutely. If you guys do not have your own family, you have a family with us. And I think that's probably the most sincere thing I've ever said on the show. That's right, bitches. I can get deep once in a while. And it's gone.
There's a few comments from the chat.
Yep, my mama. Agador Spartacus was spot on. Well
Yeah.
said, Josh. Amen to that. And preach it, son. I'm son. If you guys ever want to know where my mentality comes from in the world or towards people, I want you to pay very close attention to the last name of my mother. I am from a very, very much of a melting pot of a family. So there
That's
is
my second middle
no
name, but that's a long, different story.
Gonzalez is your second middle name.
Again, it's a long,
I'm just going,
convoluted story,
I'm just going to call you Joshy G,
and I'm okay with that.
or call you Josh the G Spot.
Good with that too.
All right, I'm good with that too. Also,
Are we ready for the final message of the evening?
I thought I just delivered it.
Well, I didn't have the music playing, so it doesn't count.
Oh, you bastard! Go ahead. Gotta have the last word. I had such a beautiful sentiment to end the show with too, but then here you go.
Yeah, all you had to do was
Go ahead.
hit the music, and it would have been done.
Ah, God.
So I'm gonna hit
Fine.
the music now.
No, go ahead. Hit the music, Josh. Play us out.
The music's been hit. Although for audio listeners, not necessarily.
Just give the final word.
Okay, fine. I'm doing it. The thing to remember here is, as usual, as I tell you, we on the WADcast at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. But this week, I'm going to take a little bit of an extra approach to this. You are responsible for the people you surround yourself with. So make sure you surround yourself with supportive people. And if you don't have supportive people in your life, and quite frankly, if some of them are family members that aren't supportive, and I do mean in more than just following your artsy dreams, talking about the way you live your life. If you have people that you can't necessarily cut out of your life, just make sure that you also find yourself a community in which you can share yourself and who you are 100%, whether it be your lifestyle or your dreams or your dream lifestyle. Because, quite frankly, family is more than just the people that share your blood. It's the people that you choose to let into and surround your life. So remember that as you're taking an assessment of everything around you and figuring out where everybody belongs. Maximize the support and minimize the naysayers. Well, with that being said, I'm Josh. That over there is Brandon. It's been a great time hanging out with you tonight, and I hope you all have a wonderful everything.